just shared with Father Mossi that this is an incredible turnout because this isn't even mandatory, so it speaks to having him here as a guest and the topic at hand. So I just wanted to give a little bit of background about how we came to have Father Mossi here. He originally gave this presentation at the JAA conference last year. How many of you attended the JAA conference? Carol, Bob? Okay, great.
How many know what the JAA stands for? Jesuit Advancement Association. Okay.
All right.
Oh, it's right there. Okay.
Okay, they know how to be good students.
Okay.
All right. How to use their resources. So anyways, he had this great presentation. He shared it with me after doing so when I reached out to him to say hello. And it was just very timely, especially as we're working to raise money for the Jesuit residents. We're working always to instill the mission in our work and keep it central to our work. So he happened to be here for the ordination of the Jesuits, and he just graciously agreed to give us at this time. So I'm going to read his bio so you have a little bit more information on Father Mossi. First of all, how many of you were here between 1991 and 2008? Either as a student or... So how many of you recognize Father Mossi? See?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So his official background, his official bio, Father John Mossi is a Jesuit of the California province of the Society of Jesus. Father Mossi was ordained in 1973 at St. Mary's Cathedral in San Francisco. In 1985, he received a Doctor of Ministry degree from Catholic University of America in D.C., and then taught classes in pastoral counseling, Catholicism, and Christian spirituality at Gonzaga University in Spokane from 1991 to 2008. I know John had him as a professor. Anyone else? Good. All right. Well,
Who was that?
Eric.
Oh, yes, Eric. You had pastoral counseling, right? Yes.
I had him as an advisor, and I truly would not have graduated without him. Barely made it. Currently, Father Mossi serves as Director for Benefactor Relations for the California Province Advancement Office in Los Gatos. Father Mossi led province benefactors on a pilgrimage last October to Florence, Assisi, and Rome. He's an avid swimmer, Warriors fan, sorry about last night, and he follows the Zags. So, can we give a warm welcome to Father?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dory. I'm sure we've all been impacted by the events in Orlando, Florida. I certainly have, and so it's a tragedy. So I'd like to begin the presentation with an Orlando Solidarity Prayer. As a Gonzaga University community, we extend our prayers to the people of Orlando, Florida, especially the 49 innocent people who were murdered. We also extend our hearts and support to the 53 wounded and the countless families impacted by the senseless violation of human dignity and life last Sunday morning. As a Jesuit Catholic and a humanistic community, we strengthen our resolve against such bankrupt acts of violence by making certain that respect, care, compassion, and love are given to everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation, religion, or ethnicity. With St. Ignatius, we examine ourselves to purify any form of prejudice so that we may be more godlike in our words, thoughts, and actions. With St. Francis of Assisi, may we be instruments of peace, transforming hate into love, injury into pardon, healing, reconciliation, despair into hope, darkness into light. Help us seek life always. Assist each one of us to be your light and love in our world and nation desperately in need of your presence and Holy Spirit. Let us all say amen.
Amen.
Well, let us transition to the topic of today, which is Jesuit mission and ministry in the advancement world. And we're going to, that's always great, begin with a snapshot. And this is a snapshot of my office and colleagues. Well, look who comes first. So my job is, I've been in the advancement office since 2008, and I'm the director of benefactor relations. And I've collaborated with 3 directors, and a new director is going to be beginning on August 8th. Her name is Siobhan Lawler, and so I've yet to meet her. So it's going to be a big surprise come August 8th. But she comes from a high school setting of a school in the Bay Area with an excellent track record. So we're very excited to have Siobhan on board. We have a director of communications and webmaster. His name is Jim Muyo, and he puts out our magazine as well. And then we have 2 philanthropy officers. This is Barbara, oops, wrong button, but that's okay. This is Barbara Gunning, and her area is Southern California and Phoenix. And this is Francine Brown, and her area is the Bay Area up to Sacramento. And we have a Jesuit in charge of planned giving. This is Father Sam Bellino over on the right. And he used to work for the Diocese of Yakima, and he started there the Catholic Foundation, which assists the diocese in its schools and different works. Oops, okay. And we have also an administrative assistant, a graphic designer, a Razor's Edge database records keeper, and a mailroom coordinator. So we have about a staff of 9, as well as a Jesuit brother who maintains our address lists and records. And you know how important in advancement, people change address, that type of person is. Here's the latest issue of our magazine, and we just concluded a $27 million capital campaign. Now I know $27 million in university is not that much, but this was our first capital campaign as a Jesuit province. So this was a huge amount. And there were 2 foci for the capital campaign. And one was for our senior and infirm and retired Jesuits at Sacred Heart Jesuit Center in Los Gatos, California. And a number of Jesuits, like Father Armand Nigro, Father Tony Villa, Father Bernie Tyrrell, are there now at the infirmary because we have a facility that has been renovated thanks to this capital campaign that can better care and accommodate them than the makeshift facility that was here on the first floor of Jesuit House on the campus. And the second part of the campaign was to build a chapel for our novitiate in Culver City and to add 10 more novice rooms, as well as scholarships for the training of future Jesuits, priests, and brothers. So it was a double-prong capital campaign, and I know some of you are going to be involved in the new Jesuit residence. Well, you're fortunate that you're going to be doing it for Jesuit residents because there are going to be a number of well-known Jesuit names associated with Gonzaga University, and that is going to be a very warm heartstring relationship for a number of benefactors in order to give to this project. So you're very fortunate. I mention that because the harder part of the capital campaign for us was to raise money for the novitiate, because these men come in and they're basically unknown. They don't have a track record as others certainly have. So this is how we concluded the campaign, and I really like the motto that for the magazine: together we did it. And we had celebrations both at the Novitiate and in Culver City, and at Sacred Heart Jesuit Center in Los Gatos. And at the Los Gatos event, we made a very large banner to put between two large pillars, and this was the theme on all the programs and the handouts that we had for that particular day. And if you have any questions when you go through, if I'm not clear on something, please ask it. That's not interrupting. I'd like it to be more interactive. Okay, what are some of the things that I do in my particular job as benefactor relations? Well, we promote different things in terms of friendship raising with our donors, and these have also been very helpful as a tie-in with the capital campaign. Because when you're on a cruise or when you're on a pilgrimage, well, you become a community and you are with one another throughout the day, and we also have daily Mass as part of it. So here was the recent one to Italy, and I'm sure you recognize this is the Sancta Trinitas Bridge over the Arno in Florence. And we did one to Argentina and Paraguay to the Jesuit missions, reductions there. And I went on I was a chaplain on board the Holland American line ship through the Panama Canal. That was 14 days. That was a little bit too much, but we eventually got it done. Here's our website page. And this is a standard website page throughout the American assistancy. All the different Jesuit provinces now have the same look, but then we customize, oops, excuse me, wrong button, let's go back. We customize it right on this side here in terms of news releases. So these are, and here, the reason I was in Spokane for Saturday, these were some of the men who were ordained at St. Aloysius Church. And you can see we have here on the right our Generations campaign, so that's ours. We also have Mass cards and perpetual certificates. So this is an order form here, and then upcoming events. And I invite you, your first homework at some time this week, is to go and visit www.jesuitswest.org. And some of you know that the Oregon province and the California province next year are coming together, and our new name is going to be Jesuits West. Okay, where is the advancement office? This is the Sacred Heart Jesuit Center. It's a dual purpose functioning building in Los Gatos. And our offices, oops, excuse me, sorry about that. Oops, sorry, well, let's go back. Yes. Our offices are here on the 4th floor. This is where we are. And I invite you anytime, if you're in the Bay Area and you would like to come by and visit our setup, you're more than welcome to do so. We have a daily Mass at 11:30 if you would like to join the Jesuit community for that, or lunch at noon. Just send me a note. If I'm there, I'll say welcome, and I'd be glad to host you. So it's located just 1 hour south of San Francisco, and it's a very, very beautiful overlooking view of the Santa Clara Valley. Okay, what are some of the questions I'm going to try to explore to some degree in the presentation this afternoon? First one, what are the mission values of the Society of Jesus? How does this worldview inform the mission of Jesuit University advancement offices? In your mission statement, Gonzaga is a Jesuit Catholic humanistic university. So how does this play into that? How to better engage with the Jesuit identity of your, here I was speaking to several universities assembled, but to your institution, to Gonzaga. So those are we'll be moving in and around these basic 3 questions. So here it is, Jesuit fundraising secrets revealed. The top 10 list. I want to begin with this image of the grapes and the vine and the branches. This is shifting to the right brain as a more creative way of combining those three questions I just presented to you and your work. And I like this image and the text, I am the vine, you are the branches, because I think it intertwines Jesuit, Catholic, and humanistic fundraising, advancement, ministry. And the more that you can see a connection between all of those, as a vine and branch is not as a separation or as a silo mentality, but all interlocked and contributing, you have a stronger, more effective mission. Well, who we're going to start with? Ignatius, founder and CEO. And in the front of College Hall, you have the statue of St. Ignatius. Your second homework assignment is to go and stand in front of that statue sometime this week and thank St. Ignatius for your job. Because I contend, if there was no Ignatius, there would be no Cataldo, there would be no Gonzaga, we wouldn't be here, at least in this capacity. So he's really a key player. And you might say, can one person make a difference? Even though, he's quite ancient, 500 years ago. This one person has, and on a worldwide scale. That's monumental. Not everybody gets to do that. Okay. So, in the latter part of his life, he wrote this book. It's not that long. It's quite short. It's an easy read. He didn't write it. He dictated it to different administrative assistants, secretaries. And this was, he was very reluctant to write this book, his autobiography. But it's basically his story as a soldier, his conversion process, his pilgrim years, being a university student at the University of Paris, and eventually being ordained, and the superior general. So my third takeaway for you is, if you have not read the autobiography or a life or commentary of St. Ignatius, this is really, really key to get into his mindset and some of the transitions that he went, because a number of benefactors, in fact, have. So you want to have a common ground in which to relate, a common platform. So that's number one. The second book is the Spiritual Exercises of St. Ignatius. Whereas the story is more his journey, the Spiritual Exercises of Ignatius Loyola is his heart. What is his passion? What really pushes him? And in the spiritual exercises, we encounter some of the prayers of Ignatius. Some of them I think you already know. It's a school of the heart. And I'm going to back up one more. This is an excellent edition. It's called St. Ignatius Loyola Personal Writings. It's available at Amazon. And I'm going to give you a handout with all the books that I'm mentioning, so you'll have that down. But this not only has his autobiography, it has the spiritual exercises, it has a selection of some of the 7,000 letters he wrote. He was an avid letter writer later in his life, once he became learned and schooled. And it has some other of his writings as well. Okay, here's a list of Ignatian resources if you stay to the end of the talk. But you can see we're moving along. So I did mention the first one here, St. Ignatius of Loyola, personal writings. And so that's enough information for you to get that on Amazon. Or if you want just the autobiography, this is an excellent book with commentary. If you read and this will give you more of a historical background or the cultural background of events that was going on at that time. Then another book, this is a contemporary book, I have it right here, a copy, an Ignatian Spirituality Reader. And these are different articles by recognized authors in Ignatian spirituality on the mission and values and spirituality of St. Ignatius. So this will help unfold what is just in the raw language of the spiritual exercises or the personal writings. A few more resources. Here is a gem. And I'll show you a copy of this. This is just once again, this is quite short, but the latter part of St. Ignatius's life, he was a fundraiser. He should be your patron saint. And why was that? Well, after he became the superior general, when he died, the Jesuits went from 7 Jesuits to 1,000 within an expanse of maybe 10 to 15 years. Well, where do you house these men? How do you train them? How do you clothe them? Educate them? And then you're having schools and churches. And how do you acquire the money for these things? Same problems that you have here in terms of a university, and you help to Gonzaga to adjust to new areas and shifts in various things. He had to do as well. So part of his life, you might think he was just be in mystic or prayer. It was, why did he write so many letters? He was a lot of times the ask. So very, very important. Now, this book is out of print, but you can access it free online. And just go into Google St. Ignatius' Fundraiser by Clancy, and you'll get right to it. Another outstanding book is A Spirituality of Fundraising by Henry Nouwen. Now, notice this too. This is not going to kill you in reading it. So I'm being very merciful. I realize you're very busy. And I said, God, this is, what an academic. All they want to do is show you books, and they expect that you're going to read it immediately. But when we get a little bit further into it, this book truly is a gem because it looks at fundraising as a ministry. And I'll be using some quotes from it. Another book that we work with and we give to our donors is a prayer book. I don't know if university ministry here at Gonzaga, does Gonzaga University Ministry have a Gonzaga prayer book for students? If they do, that would be something to tie in, or this particular one. This is a wonderful collection of all types of Jesuit prayers. From traditional to contemporary. And people love receiving this. And the last thing right here, and I'm wearing it, is the IHS red lapel pin. So this pin here is the seal of the Society of Jesus, and the IHS letters are not English or Latin. They are Greek, and it's the first 3 letters of Jesus' name. The I is really a J, that H is an E, the S is an S, so Jess. And then you have the cross on top, the nails of the cross on the bottom, and here is the sunburst as light of the world. And here is you'll have on the handout if you like this. And what I usually do, and Dory, can you please come up? I'm going to use you as an example. At some time at a meeting or a lunch or dinner, we're going to have to do this. I'm going to have to break this open. I did cut one, but excuse me. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. Okay. Ah, yes. I will say to the benefactor I'd be having lunch with or dinner that with the special powers that have been given to me, I'm going to give this to you, so you'll know where to put it. I'm going to make you an honorary Jesuit. So I give him the red pin. Put it on. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. And see, and people just love it. It's a little thing, but it shows you a different type of connection. All right, let's see where else we're going to go. All right, this will also be, I mentioned the website, and there's my particular information. And Ignatius the Fundraiser. When you get into the book by Clancy, right over here, or he develops 5 principles of St. Ignatius. I think these would be very easy for you here at Gonzaga if my memory serves me right, but Gonzaga is very proud to be Gonzaga, and I have to say, coming back here has been a very uplifting experience for me. I've just met so many wonderful, happy, upbeat people, welcoming and friendly. It's been a real joy to be here. But Ignatius says, at least this is the interpretation of Thomas Clancy, first of all, believe in the value of the work. Because if you're going to promote Gonzaga, you're certainly going to have to do that with a full mind and heart. And it was interesting. Ignatius had an avid benefactor who wanted to fund a Jesuit pulpit or preacher in his city. And what the response of Ignatius to this person said, if you really want to have a lasting effect, sponsor a college. Now, you would think, now this is not a put down of what takes place at St. Al's, nothing like that, but what takes place at a university, how young women and men are formed over a 4 or 5 year period or longer, is very foundational, and that does not leave them throughout their entire life. So when you visit the alumni, you are rekindling the memories, fond memories, affectionate memories of their experience here at Gonzaga, or what Gonzaga does if they did not attend it. So believing in the value of your work. 2 and 3, okay? Let your light shine. The good news. Well, you do this through your Gonzagan magazine. Is it still called the Gonzagan? Am I dating myself? And Ignatius directed his superiors to send him every 2 weeks detailed letters of what was taking place either in the missions or schools or parishes or retreat center if they were giving the spiritual exercises. And he wanted those letters to show to benefactors, to say, this is what is taking place here. We need this. Can you help us? So it was having them partner with the activity of the mission. 2, the third one, know your donor relationships. Well, this is a very interesting. There was a bishop who gave to the Society of Jesus a house that belonged to his mistress. Well, we know bishops are not supposed to have mistresses. Well, this one did. And people were very upset, and they were saying that Jesuits were mixing the house of Baal, or a foreign god, with the house of the Lord. And Ignatius' response was to accept the house and to ignore the complaint. But the story of that is he was looking at a relationship with this bishop long range. So if it's some area that is less than perfect, work with it and see where it goes. Help the person along because there's initial goodwill. This is obviously self-explanatory. Manage your assets carefully. And Ignatius gave instructions to his superiors and Jesuits to observe the marketplace and the practice of bankers. So he was not for this separation of church and state, or church and the business world, but he was saying, invest shrewdly and wisely. And he even told one Jesuit who had to take money from Spain into Rome, and there was some difficulty in the transfer of money in those days, and especially if you have to deal in a foreign market, you probably know the difficulty if you have to send money to certain countries. He said, store the money in bags of sugar and take it into Rome that way. So he was very, creative and imaginative in terms of getting the resources from one area for the greater good to do something in another. Last one, and I'm sure you know this in the advancement work. Honor your friends and show gratitude. So I think the big gratitude event that you do here at Gonzaga is the Gonzaga Gala. Is that correct?
Ignatian Gala?
The Ignatian Gala. And that is a huge amount of work on your part, and it is to honor significant people. And one of the major sins for St. Ignatius was ingratitude. So the showing of appreciation. You can never say thank you or acknowledge too much. It's not to ingratiate, but to realize that we are basically in a begging profession. So this is covered in this book here, Ignatius the Fundraiser. Spirituality of fundraising. And this is the other book I already mentioned by Henry Nouwen, a Dutch priest that was a prolific writer, and especially in the area of spirituality. And this was his major understanding of what fundraising is, and it's a powerful quote. Fundraising is proclaiming what we believe in such a way that we offer benefactors an opportunity to participate with us in our vision and mission. So knowing the life of Ignatius, knowing the heart of the spiritual exercises, which is the vision, and knowing the mission of Gonzaga, this enables them to participate in that. Okay, so why such spirituality propaganda? I contend that Jesuit fundraising is more than stats. I know you have to deal with stats, outcomes, percentage columns, end-of-year goals, made or not made, and presidential reports. It's much more than that. It's a participation in the passion and vision and values of St. Ignatius, because he's done everything that you have done. And all the more critical to know his story, heart, worldview, and mission. So that's the reason why I started there. And that's a vibrant vine and branches. Okay, Jesuit Mission and Values 101. Well, where are we going to start? Well, obviously, we're going to start with Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God, and that's impacted on your seal of the university and various buildings all around campus. And you would think that, purposely, Ignatius didn't put it for the greater glory of Ignatius. That would be really narcissistic. Or the greater glory of the Jesuits. It's not for the greater glory of the Jesuits. Or the greater glory of the church. I mean, his vine and branches was huge, massive. And to connect to the greater glory of God, major, major, major insight. And I'm sure that you've heard the others, which are more in university parlance. Some of you probably have seen this book, Do You Speak Ignatian? How many have seen this out of curiosity? Okay, so you have a certain amount of the phrases of being men and women for and with others in Christ, or the Magis, or collaboration at the heart of the mission, how we are to work together for a common end. These are all explained in this particular work. A great resource, especially when you're inviting someone to be generous, is a prayer from the spiritual exercises. Lord, teach me to be generous, teach me to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the costs, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labor and not to ask for a reward, save that of knowing that I do your will. And so to elicit in a person generosity in giving, it's a wonderful thing. And we have different prayer cards that we produce with this prayer on it, and I have a few here for you as a takeaway. But we can't keep these. These things just move. People love both this prayer and another prayer that is from the spiritual exercises, the Take, Lord, and Receive. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And when I'm explaining with a benefactor the fundraising ministry, I focus on this part right here. All I have and call my own, you have given all to me, to you, Lord, I return it. And here you have, in 3 lines, legacy leadership. How would you like to establish your legacy for a greater good, for a larger vision? The resources that you have been given, and if a person realizes, and some people later in life come to this, realize, what am I going to do with this? I want to use it in a positive way. And I realize I've been most fortunate. How can I help others? This is a legacy spirituality right here in these 3 particular lines. Who is someone, I think, who is really a vine and branches, not only for the church, but worldwide? And I'm not saying this about, this is probably the part where, I have to bring in Pope Francis and say something in the talk about from Pope Francis. Well, if I didn't think he was doing this, I wouldn't do it. But why is he so remarkable? Why does he touch so many people of different faiths or no faith? This is, he is, and I really contend that it's because of his Jesuit training, and I'm not trying to, but he captures it so well. He's refreshing, he's reforming, he's renewing, he's humble, he's simple, and yet he's creating a larger, welcoming church. And he's only been Pope, I think, since 2013. Not that many years. This is his 4th year, I think he's entering as Pope, but many people think he's been Pope longer because he's done so much. So he's been really an authentic servant leader. And here's somebody who has embraced and translated the spirituality of St. Ignatius in a leadership position. Okay, let's go to, people ask me what my job is, and if you're in the area of benefactor relations, sometimes you get slammed that, all you do is go out and spend university money and take people out to nice lunches and dinners in places that I can't go. But I look on my job as reinforcing a two-way street. And so a lot of my work entails, how can I serve you? And that is building a relationship. And once you have established, as you know, a relationship and a pathway and a doorway with a donor or benefactor, other doors open. They're happy to see you. There's an element of trust that has taken place. Sometimes, how can I serve you is reinforced through writing letters or phone calls or making a visit, yes, a lunch or a dinner. Sometimes it's doing a family wedding or being present at a funeral. Sometimes it's remembering an anniversary, whatever that event might be, or doing some investigative homework for them that they don't know where to go, and making the connections. There is no one thing that it comes under, except sometimes the cultivation takes lots of time, and as you know, you might not reap the benefit of it. Someone else will. Our office also has what I refer to as a prayer ministry. So one of the ways that we also promote an awareness of the California province, soon to be Jesuits West, and help raise money is through perpetual certificates, both for living and deceased, and our Mass cards. And here's a sample of them, some of them, just a brief sample. But if you were to go to our website and click on that perpetual certificates and Mass cards, you would see the whole range of perpetual certificates. So this is a perpetual certificate. This is what we call our deluxe. And people are enrolled, living or deceased, in books that are in our chapel at Los Gatos and are daily remembered at Mass. And that's the same for our Mass cards. Oops, excuse me. Let's try it again. Oh, we went ahead, sorry. Oh yeah, here we are. This is the same for our Mass cards. This is one I designed in honor of St. Ignatius Loyola. And so some Mass cards are just general. And we have what we refer to as seasonal cards. So Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, and All Souls Day. And on certain ones, we ask them to send in list of names, which they do, or sometimes they'll purchase or make a donation, not purchase, but make a donation for the seasonal cards. I mentioned this book, the prayer book. It's part of our prayer ministry. This we just give as a gift to our friends and benefactors. We also have various cards for people to pray or use as bookmarks, and I already showed you the IHS pin. What do I think is the most critical issue for advancement teams? Mission hiring. Who you are collectively, and does the person understand the mission of the institution? It's absolutely foundational, and Joanne Shiosaki on the Student Publications Board, when we were in a former life when I was at Gonzaga and we worked together on the 4th floor of then it was the administration building, the ad building, then it became the college hall. We tried as much as possible in terms of student editors for the bulletin, reflection, spires, and charter, because we wanted to use this as also gifts for donors or prospective students. And the more that the editors and the contributors were on board, the more representative it was of Gonzaga in articulating its mission. I look on this one as absolutely critical. And wherever you have a workshop, let's say you were to have a workshop on the life of St. Ignatius as a department retreat, that would be something to bring new members on board. So that's always a process taking place. And it's all part of the greater vision of the vine and the branches, how we're all connected. And it makes for a more effective and truthful mission. Well, as we're getting towards the end, I want to thank you all. First of all, I'm surprised at how many showed up, at which I'm overwhelmed. But I want to thank you for the advancement cultivation. This people, unless you are in the advancement world, people are really clueless a lot of times as to what takes place and why it's taking place. And for the marketing and the communications that also take place. And going to designing special events, which are unifying and captivating, and the work that goes into major giving asks and grant writing, along with the annual appeals and a capital campaign or a special projects campaign. And of course, since you're at a university, there are always endless meetings and reports. So this is part of your daily labors, setbacks, challenges, and successes. What we're going to come away with, before I get into the last one, I want to do a little recap as to takeaways. 1, visit www.Jesuits West. 2, go and say a big thank you to the statue of St. Ignatius. 3, read the autobiography of St. Ignatius Loyola. 4, I didn't mention this, but this is time. If you have an opportunity to make a SEAL retreat, spiritual exercises and everyday life retreat, or do anything related to the spiritual exercises, I strongly encourage you to do so. 5, read St. Ignatius the Fundraiser. 6, the book by Henry Nouwen, The Spirituality of Fundraising. I think that's more than enough. So let's see the last thank yous here. Well, thank you for listening to my rants. And I want to give a special thanks to Dory, who on a complete blind date invited me here to speak to you, and to all of you for showing up. And one other very important thing that I cannot stress enough. Thank you. If you have any, I don't know, if you have any questions or concerns, please ask them, and I do have some handouts for you as well. Yes, Dale.
What do you see as the biggest advantages that you're looking forward to combining the California and Oregon provinces?
Well, for me, it's a reunion with a number of wonderful Jesuits who I don't get that often to see. And taking the richness of the Northwest tradition and culture and the richness of the California tradition and culture and coming with a new entity. So I look on it as very, very good.
So my understanding is that the center where you're located now will remain there and be the infirmary and the care center. And
It'll be, yeah, so a number of our things are being unified. Instead of duplicate, one here, one there, we're looking for what are the best practices and best place to host whatever particular ministry takes place.
my understanding, the main headquarters is going to be located in the Northwest.
The provincial is going to be located in Portland, which was originally where the provincial was located before it was in San Francisco and then Los Gatos, where it is right now for the California province.
And will his staff join him there?
Yes, so his staff goes there, right. The California Advancement Office, fortunately, doesn't have to move. So that's all. Yes, Jody.
First of all, thank you so much for doing this today. It was perfect, especially in light of how we're moving towards fundraising for the Jesuit residents. And so with that, segue into, like, what do you see as some of the best uses for the Jesuit residents aside from just living quarters in terms of, like, what can we do here at Gonzaga to attract Jesuits? And then there's kind of a second part to that question, like, worldwide, do you think that Gonzaga is known in the Jesuit community, not just in the United States, but like across the globe?
Okay, so what is the best use of the Jesuit residents? If I were a resident, I would say hospitality. How can you be a welcoming center in growing in relationship as well as understanding Jesuit spirituality? The second one, to attract Jesuits to Gonzaga. I don't have the formula for that one. But I have to say that Gonzaga has an excellent reputation, assistancy-wide, and throughout the United States. And I don't know, I don't want to speak on worldwide because I don't know that. I gave you two for your project of fundraising for the Jesuit residents. If you were to make some design, some type of card with those two prayers on it, that's the heart and soul of what it is of Jesuit spirituality. Yes.
Well, thanks for all the great homework.
You're busy for the rest of the week.
And maybe the answer to this question is one of those assignments, but what would be your advice for daily remembering why we are all here, mission? Because I think I've observed when the University Advancement teams get together, we have a great ability to remember the mission and to be joined in it, but then in our daily tasks, I can see people start slipping into just numbers. We forget
Yes,
about
that's right.
relationships and
That's
we
right.
forget about
That's
the
right.
mission sometimes.
That's right.
Sometimes not. So
Right.
what would be your best advice to help against that?
Okay. At the risk of sounding pious, I begin my day with prayer. And I look at my day, appointments, or things that both known and the unknown, which is part of the day. And I pray for the strength to respond in the best way I can, realizing it's just not my work, it's not me. So that's how I deal with that. And coming from a prayer source, I think, in any work you do, but this one, because you're not in charge here, you know, you might not see the results, is very important. You know, but that is true. That's the first major movement. Well, after my morning cup of coffee, that's my. Yes.
Remind me kind of by the numbers of the Los Gatos location, kind of how many acres it is, how many Jesuits are there, kind of by the numbers type of thing.
Okay, I think I'm going to just do an approximate. It's about 100 acres. It's on a hillside overlooking Santa Clara Valley, unobstructed view. And
Real estate.
well, we picked it up when it was just farming country in 1888. Gonzaga was founded in 1887. Okay, there was nothing around here. So how many Jesuits are there? The capacity, it's in the 70s, but it fluctuates because some Jesuits go there, like for instance, after an operation and they recover and they're because of the infirmary or the nursing care that is there, so it's only temporary. Other Jesuits who go there, if they've been, let's say, in a parish by themselves or something, working by themselves, and maybe not getting proper food or care, they regain their strength and they go back out because they want to serve more. So that also happens. And then some go there because they need assisted living or infirmary care. So it varies. Right now it's in the low 70s, 70, maybe 75. I think it can go up to 80 max. I don't know if those are questions. Come down and take a look. Yes, there will be a number of priests there, I'm sure that you know. Well, thank you very much. I don't want to keep you beyond your limit here, so I appreciate all your attention, and no one went to sleep, so thank you.
Officially, formally, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Father. I know it was kind of a last-minute request in a way, and you really delivered for us. You reminded us that not only is St. Ignatius such an important person to the history of Gonzaga, but really the history of our advancement division. So that
Yes.
was a really great reminder, and we're so
Great.
grateful. Another hand for Father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's
And
it.
before everybody leaves, Joe couldn't be here. He was with a donor, our Vice President Joe Pross, doing such great work of working with our donors. But he wanted me to pass out and remind everybody of this great resource, which is the Statement of Affirmation that the university produced a couple years ago. This is a one-of-a-kind piece that I believe no other Jesuit university has, and it's really about what it means to be a Catholic Jesuit university and how Gonzaga is affirming in that. So I'm going to pass this out.
Can I have one?
Yes, absolutely.
thank you.
Use it as a resource, and we can get more copies if you need, but I'm going to hand this out to you. And then everybody